Harris and Walz kickoff campaign at Philadelphia rally. Today's live coverage has ended. See what you missed below and check back for more live updates on 2024. For more, subscribe to our politics newsletter. Vice President has chosen as her running mate, looking to strengthen the ticket in states. After an introduction from she and Walz made their joint debut at a rally evening in Philadelphia, kicking off their battleground state tour. Inside the 16 days between launch and her choice of, with his vice president seeking a second term together, weren't supposed to have a Veep search at all. But as soon as the 81-year-old president ended his campaign and endorsed Harris, it was go time. And there was no playbook for the newly elevated candidate and a vetting team that in a normal campaign would have months, not days, to make such a critical decision. What followed was a 16-day blitz on parallel tracks. Wrapping his remarks with pivoted amid the applause to wrap his arms around Harris in a bear hug. The two clasped hands as grinned and, with her other hand, pointed at to the cheering audience. Their spouses joined them on stage for waves and applause before the new ticket stepped off the stage and to the edge of the crowd for photographs and handshakes with voters in the auditorium. Walz is reprising the weird phraseology to describe Republicans that has become a hallmark of his stump appearances and garnered the governor plaudits from younger. Taking swipes at his rival and are creepy and yes, they're weird as hell. I can't wait to debate the guy, added. Stumping earlier today and said, I absolutely want to debate but not until after the convention. The former sergeant and football coach is speaking in an old-school, rousing, populist style. In a feisty tone, dropping damn well and come on into his remarks, with a dialect, is delivering a strong indictment of with a bit of laughter. Say it with me. We are not going back, he belted, starting a chant from the audience. We've got 91 days. My God, that's easy, he said. We'll sleep when we're dead. Has made a personal connection with one of the marquee issues in this year's election, in vitro fertilization. Walz said talking about gets personal for me and my family. It wasn't by chance that, when we welcomed our daughter into the world, we named her, he told the crowd. Abortion opponents have been increasingly pushing for broader measures that would give rights and protections to embryos and fetuses, which could have massive implications for fertility treatments and other areas of health care. Democrats routinely cite concerns as part of a larger problem where women in some states are getting worse medical care since the fall of Roe v. Wade, linking delayed care to cases in states with abortion restrictions, where women must wait until they are very sick in order to get care. It's the general election, and is showcasing what he says is his ability to work across the aisle. Of his time in the says, he worked toward bipartisan solutions on topics, including veterans' issues and agriculture. Learn the art of compromise without compromising my values, he said, of his more than a decade representing. Walz sometimes talks about his native state of Nebraska more than the one he leads. He spoke about the small town of 400 where he was born and where he spent the summers working on the family farm. My mom and dad taught us to show generosity towards our neighbors and work for a common good, he added. Walz began his remarks by thanking for selecting him. The campaigner known as being upbeat said, "You for bringing back the joy." Following a shout-out to praised his wife, a 29-year public school teacher, Riley plugging a constituency, ever underestimate teachers. Harris noted her and different backgrounds she's from and he's from, but they have common ideals. After all, the promise of is what makes it possible for two middle-class said, to make it all the way to the coach, and I may come from different corners of our country, she said, but we believe in picking people up, not knocking them down. Without naming, argued for the superiority of her running mate's experience over his rival, using a sports analogy, as the former football coach stood by, saying would be ready on day one, characterize